welcome back to my page, Books and Graphics a la Saber. I'm Saber, and as you can tell from this title, we are going to be talking about library pages today, which is what my position is at the library. And I know that when I used to go to the library, I just assumed that everybody that I saw was a librarian. If they were sitting at the desk, if they were shelving books, whatever they were doing, I just assumed everybody was a librarian. And I know from experience working there and from orientation and them just saying that everybody thinks that everybody thinks that we are librarians. So I wanted to take the time to make a video and explain to people, if they're interested, what exactly a library page is, what we do, and a little bit about what I know a library clerk is, and what the difference is between a library page, a library clerk, and a librarian. So I'm just going to get started. So for clarity's sake, this is all going to pertain to where I work. I will say that I assume that it is very similar everywhere, but I do know that some places don't use the term library page and library clerk. It's assistant, like library assistant 1 and library assistant 2, or just library assistant. And I don't know if that is the same thing as a library page and library clerk. So I'm just going to go based off of what my branch does. And generally, from what I've looked up, I believe that a library page is what I do. But again, this is for what the library that I work at. So I live in Kansas, and my library is a county library. We have about 14 different branches for our library, and then even within our county, there is a separate library within a city, and that aren't part of our county library. They are owned by the city and run by the city. However, our system, like our library catalog, is all on one system. So if you go to my library, if you have a library card from my library, you can use it at the city library that I mentioned. And when you go on the catalog, it doesn't say that it's a library book from that city library or the county library. We all use the same system and interchange books. So, my job is to shelve these books that I'm speaking of, but I don't shelve the books from the city library. They go to their library, and it is somebody's job to take a truck with tubs of books and transport that from library to library for people's holds, and to make sure that they get back to that city library and whatnot. But myself as a page, my job is to organize carts of books after the clerks have put books on carts. I alphabetize them, and I go to whatever section of the library these books are supposed to be, and I put them in order according to the system that we put them in order. At our library, our books are alphabetized except for nonfiction books. Nonfiction books are still shelved in the Dewey Decimal System. So, like, the decimal, it'll say like 115, like 115.93, and then it'll have the author's last name underneath. I might be getting that mixed up and it has the author's name above, but I'm like 95% sure it has the author's name below. And so it'll be like that. It would be like 115, author's name. So this is a graphic novel from my library, and the cutter says graphic, and it's the boys, so boys. It is written by Garth Ennis, and so it says Ennis below. It doesn't always have, sorry, it keeps going out of focus. It doesn't always have their first names, but sometimes they do put the first names. And then for graphic novels, not all the time, but a lot of the times, there's different volumes, it'll put the volume number. And every now and then, it'll put the year that the book came out. So it says that it came out in, 4 of 2019. And because the cutter's so big, it goes around the side. So we look at those things, and we alphabetize the books on the cart, and then I go to the shelf, and I look, okay, I need to find, okay, go to the shelf, those are the A's, B, B, O, and shelve them. And it sounds easy, like it is in a sense, but whew, my legs and arms get tired, you guys. Like, being a library page is easy in the sense as it's not entirely mentally taxing, but it can be. Like, my brain gets tired and I'm like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Nope. E comes after D. And, like, because I'll sometimes attempt to misshelve a book and be like, no, I'm pretty sure E comes before D. And then I have to, like, say the alphabet in my head correctly to make sure that I put the book in the right spot, because you're doing it all day and your brain's like, we're gonna play games with you and make you put it in the wrong spot. I'm gonna try to find. Okay, so here's another book. So we also put books in, we separate some of our books for mystery and fiction. So, like, this was mystery, and then the author's last name and her first name and the year that it came out. So we shelve it like that way too. Hi guys, so I just wanted to interject in the video real quick so I could show you a few of the different cutters that you guys weren't going to be able to see in the video originally. I didn't have a whole lot of variety when I recorded this video at first. All I had was one mystery book and quite a few different graphic novels, so I wasn't going to be able to show you several different cutters like I am able to now. So I wanted to record a quick video as I was editing and put it in the middle, and then you guys can get back to your regular scheduled recording. I'm not showing myself right now because my hair is in crazy looking twists, so I can have my hair cute and a twist out when I go to the doctor's in the morning. So that's why you're just seeing these two cutters, but I will get to the explanation. So on the left, this one, it just says DVD best, and the DVD is The Best Man. So generally for DVDs, it'll just say the first word from whatever the title is. And then if it's, this one's a juvenile, so it is Inside Out. So J for juvenile, which I explain later in the video, DVD inside. And then if it's an E, which I also explain later on, it would say E, DVD, and then the title. I showed this one already, but mystery for books that go in the mystery section, and we also have sci-fi books, so it would say mystery or sci-fi, and they would have the author's last name and then first name, and sometimes they have the dates and sometimes they don't. It depends. Some books don't and sometimes they do. And here's a different cutter for our juvenile section. So a J, fiction, author's last name, first name, and then the year, and that is again juvenile. And then in adult fiction, it doesn't say adult, it just says fiction. So fiction, Clayton, Alice. And then a nonfiction book, it doesn't have the title or anything like that on the side. So for nonfiction books, they are in the Dewey Decimal System, like I mentioned earlier in the video. So it's 616 decimal 44 Myers and then the year. So we would shelve this as we would pay attention to that decimal, to the number first and then the last name. So if there was anything else that was 616.44, we would go with whatever the alphabet was after that if there were multiple numbers of the same number. But I just wanted to show you guys that so that you can get a different variety and understand how we are shelving the books. But I will let you get back to the regular video, and thank you for letting me interject real quick. And I hope you are enjoying the video. Okay, bye now. Back to the regular video and my actual face. So that is what I do as a page. And we have books in the nonfiction section, an adult nonfiction section, an adult fiction section, and then mystery and sci-fi. And then we have large print fiction, large print nonfiction, large print mystery, large print sci-fi, and large print western. We have a Spanish section. And then we have YA/teen. I believe they are changing the cutters. These are called cutters. That's what we call them. They're changing the cutters to all say teen. But due to COVID, they've kind of stopped that right now, and eventually they'll get back to it. And we have our CDs and DVDs and audio CDs. And then we have our kit section, which is where I am the most of the time. At my branch, that is what gets checked out the most. So how it works at our library is we have e-fiction, E picture books, E infant books, and then E stands for easy. So easy fiction, easy infant, easy picture books, and easy reader books. And then we have easy nonfiction books. So those are all for like grade school age kids. And then we have our J graphics, J nonfiction, and J fiction. And that stands for juvenile. And that is for about, depending on their reading level, anywhere from, I'll say like an 8 to a 12-year-old. So while the e-readers are for grade school age books, it's usually like toddler to 7 or 8, and then the readers are for bigger kids or the juveniles are for bigger kids that already know how to read but aren't quite up to the YA teen books yet. So we also shelf those as well. And that is what pages do. So a clerk's job is to get those carts ready for us pages to shelve. And they are the backbone of circulation. So when you return your books to the library, be it if you go inside to the library and put it in the bin or through the little slot that reads it, however your library works, or if you go through a drive-through and put it in the little slot, or if they have like the mailbox style thing and put it in there, it is the clerk's job to get those books and put them through a sorter. We have a sorter where it reads the label it reads the barcode, and then it like goes on this like conveyor belt and puts it into these various tubs based off of where it's supposed to go. So based off of like the cutter I said. So that one's a fiction book. And then that one's a mystery. And then all the other ones have graphics. And that one's a graphic. So the graphic would go into its own tub. The mystery and the fiction would also go into a tub by itself because they both go to the adult section. The adult nonfiction might go into one tub. I'm not really entirely sure how all of the tubs work, but they would all go into various tubs, and then the clerk would put these books on the carts, how they're supposed to put on the carts. We have a certain way that it's supposed to be done, and that's what they do for us pages. They are also the ones who we have a drive-through for. At some of our branches we have drive-throughs so patrons don't have to come inside, and the clerks are also the ones who handle the drive-through primarily. Some pages do know how to run the drive-through that have been there for a while. I'm too new to learn how to do that, so I don't really know how it works, but from hearing it, they have the patron read off their card, and then they see what books they have on hold. They go get the holds for the patron, and then they give them the books through like the slot, kind of like if you were at the bank, and then they tell them when their books are due and have a nice day. And that's what they do. They also are the ones who handle printing out pieces of paper or pieces of paper that have the names of books that need to be pulled for holds, or pieces of paper that have stickers on them that need to be pulled for holds, and giving them to volunteers or to us pages so that we can go and pull holds. That is something else that I do as a page. Is if you were to put a book on hold, it is a page's job to go through our library into the certain area and go find that book. So if I were to put It by Stephen King on hold, or if you were to go put It on Stephen King by hold, no matter which, in my city, in my county, and it was at my library branch, one of the pages would have it on there, a sheet, and it would say, King, Stephen, It, and then it would have, I'm going to try and block out it would have these series of numbers below. Try and block out the city. And then it would have these series of numbers below so that we can identify the exact book. So we have several copies of the same book, so that just because it's King, Stephen, It, doesn't mean you can just pull the book. You have to make sure it is that exact copy, because if it's not, then When the next person goes to try to check out that book that you actually put on hold, it won't let them check it out because that hold is under your name. And so that works in the computer system where when you put a book on hold, this is for our branch again, when you put a book on hold, you are the only one that can check out that book under your card name. If your husband, your son, your daughter, your wife, whoever has a different card and they come to pick up your book and don't know your card number or don't have your card, they cannot check out that book for you. It's just how it works. But that is another job for pages, is pulling holds. And another job that our pages do here is sometimes we can't find the hold. Sometimes you look everywhere in that section for that hold and you can't see it because you've been looking so much and your eyes get tired, or you just keep overlooking it because you've looked in that row 10 times and you're like, okay, I don't see it. And your eyes are like, you don't see it. And your brain's like, no, we're going to pretend that you don't see it. So later on, holds that couldn't be found, well, we're not just going to pretend like it's not found. Unless it's a really, really old book, it might be missing. That might be missing. Somebody goes back and looks for those holds so that we can make sure that our patrons get those. So that is what a page does. Another thing we do is shifting. When shelves get really, really full, we have to shift the books to make room for more books. And that is like the biggest workout. I get a lot of squats in and a lot of like chest workout because I'll hold the books like that and move them sometimes, or you grab a stack like that and move them. You're doing that and you're doing that over and over. It is a nice workout. I get sweaty, you guys. But shifting, you do a lot of shifting to fit one or two books into one shelf because it needs to fit, and you have to leave room. So if your shelf is this long, you need to leave about this much room at the end so that more books can be shelved there, so that the shelf should never be entirely full, and that is another page duty. So the difference between a page, a clerk, and a librarian is pages are the ones that are primarily shelving the books. Clerks are the ones that handle all of the circulation. So from the moment that the books are returned to the library, they put them where they're supposed to be. Like, they get them in order, get them on the carts, and then so that the pages can get them on the shelves. And librarians are the ones who answer all your questions. They're the ones who went to school. You have to go to school. You have to have a master's to be a librarian. They will answer your questions for anything. They are the ones who handle reading programs and help develop different programs. And then our library also has information specialists. And you don't have to have a master's to be an information specialist. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to delve into that too much because that is not my forte. It's not something that I do. It is the track that I'm going to school for that, but I don't want to say exactly what the differences are because I myself just found out that there is a difference. I thought ISNYS was librarian. All I know is information specialist and youth specialist are ones that they also sit at the desk and are considered librarians. And they're the ones who primarily will answer questions. They can look on the computer, see the exact number of where a book, see if the book is actually at our branch or what branch it is. They can help you put holds on stuff. And sometimes it is the actual librarian that is sitting there. But the people who have their masters, they have more responsibilities, and what those responsibilities are, I am not entirely sure because that is not what I do. I am a page, and that is what I want to explain to you. But I do know that if you are wearing the red badge at our place and you are anywhere in the shelf, a patron will think you're a librarian, and so we are mostly all just referred to as librarians because that's what people will think you are. The most asked question I probably get at work is where something is. And if I work here, it's always, do you work here? And then it's usually when I'm standing in front of a cart and I kind of find it funny. I'm like, yeah, I'm organizing these books. I definitely work here. And I just kind of chuckle. I get asked usually where certain nonfiction books are. And I almost never know, so I always feel bad, but I just have to tell people I have no idea. Um, and then I point them to the touchscreen for the catalog, or currently because of COVID, I point them to the front desks because they can help them if they don't feel like touching the catalog. If I by chance know where it is, because there's like little sections of the nonfiction, and this is in the kids section. I get asked all of my questions in the kids section. If there's a section that I happen to know exactly where something is at or know that area, I will point them in that way. But for the nonfiction section, there's a lot of nonfiction books and I don't know. Oh, for hours, I wanted to talk about that. So I had done some research before I started as a page, and pages are almost always part-time, as in like no more than 20 or 25 hours. I myself work four-hour shifts a week. So I work 16 hours a week, 4 hours a week. And in my head before I started, I was like, man, I wish I could work more. No, I don't. 4 hours, 4 days. I could do 5 days a week and be fine. 4 hours is good. It is definitely good. In your head, you're probably like, girl, please, you could do more than that. I thought I could do 8 hours a day. I'm tired after 4. I'm tired and I'm sweaty. It is a workout. Like, I tell people, like, I get a workout at work. My friend had texted me and asked if I wanted us to be accountability partners, for eating right and exercise. And I was like, yes for eating, but no for working out, because I get a workout at work. I get my squats in. I get an arm workout in. I get steps in. I'm thirsty at work. It is a workout, you guys. And I want to talk about why I like my job. I love the library. It took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. I went to school for respiratory and was a respiratory therapist for 2 years and found I didn't like that. And one day when I was working as a receptionist job and still trying to like figure out what I wanted to do, it finally, like, the light bulb came on until like it screwed on all the way, and I just had that epiphany. Oh my God, I want to be a librarian. I thought back to when I was a kid. I know I'm not a librarian yet, just to say I am on the track to get there. I thought about me as a kid. I was in the library a lot in grade school, especially in middle school, and then still in high school, and even a little bit in college. Not as much in college. I always had a book on the floor beside my bed because my nightstand was too full. I like felt naked or something, like unclothed and uncovered if I didn't have a book on my nightstand. Even if I wasn't currently reading it, I just felt lost if I didn't have a book. And I love helping people. So I finally had that realization. And I started volunteering at the library, and I found that I really like it. I liked the organizing of it. I primarily doing volunteer, you primarily at my branch, you pull holds. So, the going to find the holds that I had mentioned, and then you shelve those holds. So after we find the holds, we have to put them on the shelf for the patrons to get them, and we put them in alphabetical order according to their last names, which are on the stickers. But I really like that. I know that's not a thing that a lot of people like, but I love organizing. I love planning. I'm a big planner. I'm a big organizer. Not all the time in my personal life. I'm not always the most organized, or not to other people's standards. But if you saw my nightstand, my books are organized. For my TBR, for my video last week, my books have been organized on my nightstand in an order so that I know, okay, I'm reading this next, and so that when I finish this book, I can put this on the bottom or return it to the library, put it back downstairs, and the next book that I'm going to be reading is on top. It's kind of weird, but I make sure that it's that way. I love alphabetizing things and numerizing? Putting stuff in numerical order. I'll just say that. I like putting things in numerical order, and I really, really like helping people, and I love anything that has to do with reading. And I really like the middle school, like preteen, teenage group. So I was hoping to work at a school, but that's probably not going to be a thing in Kansas because, you know, budget cuts in education. But I could still work with children at a public library. So that is what the track I'm on, and I am going to school this next fall, or this next month, to get my bachelor's and then on to my master's to become a librarian. But even though I'm a page and not a librarian yet, I still absolutely love it. I may be exhausted after work and sometimes not able to read. I just want to hurry up, eat lunch, and lay down on the couch and maybe just read a few pages, but I still love it. It's so good to help people. It's a little different now due to COVID. I don't get to see patrons as much, and that's fine by me. I honestly don't want to. Not like I would love to be at the place where I could see and interact with patrons because that is in my nature. But with how things are right now, I mean, we have to wear a mask at work. I will not leave my car without one. And 6 feet away, like for my safety and for other people's safety. So it's definitely different. It's not how it was when I first started, but when I first started, I like loved when people asked me questions. Even if I didn't know how to answer, I loved a little kid coming up to me and be like, do you work here? Can you tell me where these books are? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I do. Or I have no idea, but I can take you to the library and at the desk and she can help you. And just seeing little kids' faces light up, or hearing a adult talk about a book that they love with whoever, or an elderly person, like it is so wonderful. And I still feel like a librarian, even though I'm not always answering everybody's questions like the information specialists are the librarians, but I'm still a part of it, and it is the most amazing thing to me. I'm a part of getting those books back on the shelf for people so that they can find that book that they need. I am a part of pulling those holds for people so that that person that put that book or that DVD or CD or audiobook, whatever, they want that material so they can have it. Their taxes pay for these things, so they can access these things for free and not have to pay for them, minus the little bit of taxes that come out. And that is just something, that's just heartwarming. I could probably tear up at it. I am tearing up a little bit. You can't see it because I'm good at hiding it. But that is just something that means a lot to me, is people being able to access these materials, and me being a really small part of it is something that I really love. And I can't wait to be a bigger part of it by being a librarian and going to school for it. And it's just something that I really love. So next time you go to the library, make sure you thank your librarian, library page, or library clerk. And I hope you learned something from this. Not everybody's a librarian, and it is totally okay if you think so, because we know that you think so. And I myself thought so before I started working at the library. And honestly, I don't even know if I would correct somebody. If they asked me if I was a librarian, I would probably say, yep. And just, actually, no, I would correct them because, you know, I think knowledge is key. And I think that, you know, if somebody's asking, you should tell them the truth. So I take that back. If somebody asked me, I would, hey, are you a librarian? I'd be like, no, I'm a library page, but I can possibly answer your question. If not, I can point you in the direction of somebody who can. So I hope you learned something and enjoyed this video. And sorry it is so long, you guys. But if you have any more questions about library pages or library clerks, those are the two things that I know the most about, mostly library page, since that is what I do. Please put them in the comments below, and I will either answer them in the comments, or if there's a lot, I will do another video. Let me know if you like this video, and I will do some more videos on being a library page, because I'm sure there are some other questions that I didn't answer. I wrote a few questions down that I could think of. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good rest of your evening, day, morning, or late night. Bye, and happy reading, guys.